Hello, my friends. Welcome to the show. This is the place where we share ideas and strategies on how to advance in your life, business, and career by using the knowledge and skills you already have. I believe that the true power to overcome obstacles and rise above our adversity is drawn from within ourselves. Developing belief in self and building self-confidence is an absolute must for every person who wants to live an impactful life. I'm your host, Isaac Wambua, and I'm honored to be your coach today. All right, Mr. Sam, welcome to the show.
Isaac, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. So let's get to it. Tell me about you. Who are you? I know you are highly successful in what you do, but go ahead and tell us who are you and what is it that you do?
Man, I don't know that I'd classify myself as highly successful. I'd say, and probably everybody does this to their own. When you compare yourselves against yourself, you become a fool. I guess that idea where it's like, oh man, like you never measure up, I don't think, to your own standard. Like I'm one of the harshest critics of me, I think, that there is. And that's probably something I need to work on, is my own self-talk. Like, man, you suck at that. So, I'm a guy that grew up relatively poor. We didn't grow up with a lot. The one thing we did grow up with was a strong family and a work ethic. And I think those two things have really, those are two things I wouldn't trade for wealth in all the world, because those two things are things you can't buy. Or those are two things you just can't buy. It's a strong work ethic, and you can't buy a great family. And I have on both sides, both of my wife's family and my family. I mean, there's 10 siblings between the two of us, and then we have 20 something nieces, and it's a huge family. Love it to death, and I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade that. So we grew up learning to hustle. I mean, that's the reality of it. Is that life is, because we didn't have a lot, you learn to provide and you learn to go earn it. That was the rule of the day. It was, you will find a way to earn a living. And so even from a little kid, I remember being on job sites, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old working. It's like, well, this is what you do. We go to work.
Yep.
So today I do commercial real estate. We buy RV resorts and RV and boat storage. We've purchased multifamily properties. I've got investments around the country in all sorts of commercial real estate asset classes, and we raise money from investors and we buy those. So that's the short of it.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that story, and congratulations on having a wonderful family and a business. And I like what you said, that sometimes when you grow up without a lot, you learn how to figure things out and how to hustle.
Yeah.
My biggest fear on my end is having this work ethic. Then, I have my son and my daughter not being able to do that. Kind of scares me a little bit, but I think everybody has to go through their own journey.
They do. And I think it's a real fear. It is a real fear. I've seen some nieces and nephews that I'm like, whoa, I love all of them to death, but I'm like, wow, like life's different for you.
Yeah.
You grew up with a lot of privilege. Good job. I mean, but at the same time, they will experience they'll experience life in a different way, and they'll learn on their own way as well. So I can't, like you said, I can't script their journey. So
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Totally agree. So how has your upbringing, having a work ethic, being able to work hard, how has that shaped who you are today as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, it has had its benefits in the sense that I don't ever fear that I can figure out a way to provide, right? It's like, I can figure this out. Come what may, I can figure out a way to provide. And I think a lot of people don't have that instilled confidence, right? They're like, man, if I quit my job, then how am I gonna get an income? And I'm like, I've never known what it's like to have a steady income, like a week by week. Like, what is that? That doesn't mean anything to me. I get paid in very large chunks, in very spread out fashion. Like, I can go 6, 8, 9 months, and then I get a big paycheck, and I go 6, 8, 9 months. Most people can't handle that. It doesn't bother me at all. It's like, I don't know, just this is what I know for life. It's also that's the positive side. The negative side is that it's also created in me this fear that the last deal or whatever deal is coming my way will be the last deal. Like, oh man, it's a great deal. I need to go do that. Like, because it's a good opportunity. I know I can do it. We can hustle and we can make some money and it'll be good. And it goes back to the idea that he who chases two rabbits catches none. Right.
Yep.
And so it's like there's always this just like fireworks going every, tailless fireworks going all sorts of different directions. It's like, man, dude, like, say no.
Yeah.
Say no, because there'll be lots more deals. You're going to spend a frenetic amount of energy chasing these opportunities at the expense of opportunities probably that'll make you a lot more money if you just stayed the course doing something else. And I think that's that poverty mentality that I've grown up with as well. It's like, man, if I don't make the money now, what am I going to, it's like, I've got to take advantage of this because we might be hungry. Well, probably not. And you're probably better off if you just stay on track there, dude. So I've paid that lesson and I continue to learn that lesson. And my wife is now at this point, she just puts her foot down like, no, we're not doing that. Okay.
I like what you said, that you just need to stay the course. I believe all of us can learn a lesson or two from that.
Right.
Because every deal looks like a good deal. And also on the flip side, even if you're not after the money, especially if you like to help people, and I know you do, you feel like you can help everyone. You want to save every single person out there, but you can't. So staying focused is really key.
That's right.
So in our show, we focus primarily on how to step into greatness. Really, that's the name of our show. And that's in whichever capacity, whether you are a leader, whether you own the business, whether you are an entrepreneur, or even both. And here's something that I'm really curious about. What does greatness mean to you? And why should everyone pursue it?
Man, what does greatness mean to me? I think greatness for me, if at the end of my life, I said, man, that was a great life. It'd be a life I look back on and I say, I don't have any regrets. Right? What do they say? That failure weighs ounces, but regret weighs tons. And it's that idea that, like, I'm not afraid of failing, but I am afraid of having regret. There is a deep-seated fear. And so greatness for me, man, would have been providing well for my family. It would have been able to maximize my time with the people I'm around. I think there's obviously the most valuable asset that any of us own is not our money, it's our time. And how you spend that time is, I think, of paramount importance. And so for me, it will, and I get to do it to an extent right now, in that I get to choose what I want to spend my time on. But in its own right, I'm also kind of forced into a corner of, like, my to-do list is so long, I can't even begin to think straight some days. This morning I was pretty overwhelmed because I got up at 3:45 with a 2-year-old that was screaming about something and having a bad night, and then I finally get her down and somebody else is up at 4:05, and then then the day carries on. It's like, this is not, and again, those are blessings. I want to be able to spend that time with them and then not be pressured the rest of the day. Perhaps maybe that's a dream, but I want to be able to say, man, that was a great life and I've achieved greatness when I'm able to spend the time with my family that I wanted to, when I'm able to make what I call every day an adventure. I'm not there right now, like every day is not an adventure right now. It's a little bit of a grind because it's not uncommon to wake up in the middle of the night with a screaming kid or something going wrong or somebody's sick. I mean, anybody that's had kids knows. It's just like, but that's, I think that's it. If I can look back and be like, man, I educated my kids well. I showed them what the world is. We traveled, we saw, we did, I made friends. And outside of that, man, I mean, whether I have 10 million, 1 million, or 100,000 or $1, I don't really care, as long as I can provide for those around me and spend quality time with them.
Yeah, you're spot on, really. And you're right. I have a 2-year-old daughter. She's 2 years, 4 months, and my son is 7 weeks old.
Oh, wow.
So you can imagine we are at that stage. And I've been talking to a few friends of mine, and I told them, man, you guys didn't tell me the truth. You told me it's good to get married. I got married. You told me to have a kid. We had the first one. It was wonderful, but nobody told me as soon as you get the second one, things truly change. Yep. I mean, I'm a very kind of a structured person. So I'm like you, man. I wake up early, 4:15 in the morning, and have a regular routine that I followed for 7+ years. Then we got our second baby and I had to change almost everything.
Yep.
Now my daughter wakes up and she's waiting for me, fixing our breakfast. So it's really, it's a grind, but there's a lot of fulfillment that comes from that, really spending those moments with them. So I totally agree with you. And I have no doubt you are going to get there because you're a hard worker.
Yeah, you'll get there, and it's these are tough stages. They're tough stages, and you and like you said, my morning routine is probably very similar to yours. And my goal list has changed. It used to be like to get into my morning routine. I had a whole book of like, I did the Hal Elrod's Miracle Morning plus a bunch of stuff I added to it. It's like, I journal every day and drink my coffee. My two stated goals, like if I've done a morning routine, is to have a cup of coffee and use the restroom before the kids get up. That's it. If I've done that, I literally, I'm like, man, I've just had a miracle morning now. So
yeah, that's the real life right there. That's real life.
Like, I can't journal anymore. I mean, when kids are getting up at between 4 and 5 a.m., you can't fit it in. So that's just life though.
Have you ever met someone that puts you at ease from the time you say hello? That's been my experience with Isaac since the first time we met. As a speaker, he holds your interest and provides pertinent information on the topic he's speaking about. He's an excellent connector and business relationship builder. That was the testimonial of Debbie Davis, Business Development Manager at Douglas Freeman CPA LLC. And it's not the only one. Isaac has a gift for powerfully impacting businesses one person at a time. Be sure to check out what else Isaac can do for you and for your company. Come to dynamomethods.com. Now, let's get back to the rest of the show.
Yeah, so looking back at the years that you've been in business, and I know you get to interact with a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners. What's one thing that you've seen being a common thread? What is it that they struggle with most of the times, especially the upcoming entrepreneurs?
Gosh, yeah. I think I'm going to borrow this. I'm finishing a book right now. And the reason I'm borrowing it is because it hits so home to me and we've already talked about it, but I'll kind of just reemphasize the point. It's focus. I think for many people, it is picking or getting in the lane. There's a book I'm reading now called The 4 Disciplines of Execution. And they said the number one thing that people are struggling with is focus. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. I'm guilty as charged. Like if I can't hyper focus and say, this is the one thing, and I've done that in real estate. I mean, gosh, I've owned multifamily. I've owned boat and RV storage. I've owned, let's see, what else did we do last year? Self-storage. I've invested in so many different asset classes. And not until really the end of last year was I like, wait, time out. We are going to do one asset class. And there's one asset class I really want to spend my time on. And that has been something I think that's been hard. And saying no to all other things outside of that. I mean, even down to, and this is going to sound pretentious, but even down to giving up my lawnmower. Like, is my time best spent mowing my yard and blowing the leaves? And no, I'm gonna get the yard guys to do that because I've got to focus.
I'm with you, man.
Yeah. And that's good division of labor. It's good for the lawn guys, keeps them employed, and it's good for me because it allows me to stay in my lane and do my thing. But I think that's, and I'm going up to episode 500 on my podcast here called How to Scale Commercial Real Estate. And I think that's one thing that I've just heard over and over and over is just from the hyper successful people, they picked one thing and they just didn't look left or right and said, that's it. That's all we're doing.
Yeah, totally agree with you. And I was picking a few things here. You talked about being focused and picking one thing, of course, like you said, but also heard about people learning the value of their time. And not because they're trying to act like big shots, but you got to ask yourself, if I spend half an hour reflecting on what I've been doing so I can make smart decisions tomorrow, how valuable is that? And I've seen people try to do their own oil change and they mow their lawn and they do everything. and have the same kind of mindset. And this is something that my wife and I have talked for a lot of so many times, really. What's the value of my time,
Right.
and learning how to say no. Because one thing I learned several years ago from Darren Hardy, that I know you're familiar with, he said, when you say no to something, you are saying yes to something else.
Right.
When you say no to maybe a coffee meeting that probably it's not going to be very valuable to your business, because you have that one thing you are focusing on, you are saying yes to focusing on that thing and being able to get the goals that you want. If you say no to meeting with me because you need to spend time with your family, you are saying yes to a lovely life, really, and being able to have a fruitful life. So that's very much true. So in your business, and I think you've mentioned this many times, that you have different lanes of your business. So it's kind of it's like you have a lot of ventures that are going on. What's the biggest challenge that you feel you are facing right now, and how do you think we can help you?
Man, yeah, again, this goes back to focus and opportunity. We've got two focuses, and there's ample opportunity, huge opportunity in both. And one business is run really by my wife, and it needs some help and input from me to help take it to the next level that I don't have time for. And then I own another business, of course, the commercial real estate side of things, that is, we're building the teams, we're scaling out the people. And it's like, gosh, there's just runway here too. And this is the part of the business I really want to focus on. I love the business that she's in. It's great. But she's, full-time, being a full-time mom, we just can't do it all. And we especially can't do it all and just to give you a little color to this, the three kids we have, love them to death, but they are, they're foster children from a severe trauma and abuse background. So we're dealing with some dynamics at home, maybe that a lot of people aren't, even when it's their own kids. Like there's a lot of cleanup to do on that front. And so it's like, man, just pulled in 800 directions, and you never feel like you're getting anything done or advancing the ball in the direction you want. And I guess at the end of it, man, I guess I spent probably half a day this morning just going, oh my gosh, like, I just want to quit. I want to quit one of these and just scuttle as many of the to-do list things that I have to do, and just say, all right, this is the one thing, and it is what it is, and I'm not worried about where the rest of this goes. So I guess just trying to figure out how to balance all of that is really hard. And I think inside of that, it's figuring out on the scaling side of things, the easiest way, I'm probably just talking too much here, but the easiest way to offload stuff off my calendar that I don't need to do, that isn't just adding more administrative burden. Like I brought on a marketing manager here recently, which is good. It's been very helpful. Yep. But even in that, bringing on more staff means that now you have somebody else to have more weekly meetings with. Every Monday and Friday, we're having weekly meetings. We're going over the stoplight reports, and we're going to what metrics we're tracking and what jobs you're doing, and then reviewing their work. And it's like, oh man, I think it's helpful. I don't know. Does that make sense, or am I just?
No, it does. It does make sense. And it's not unusual for someone, again, who is highly ambitious. I can tell you move fast, and you are likely to be very impatient with yourself, if not anyone else. And
right.
Not everyone moves that fast. So part of it could be you really want things to be accomplished, and you can't seem to get those done within the time that you have. Right. Just a few things I can throw your way, and most likely you already have this in place, but just to emphasize on those, automation is going to be key. And in this case, it's not like the intense automation that we do. And I came from the engineering world, so that's not what I'm talking about. Is talking about, okay, if I have a marketing person and we are supposed to meet, how do we communicate on the agenda? I mean, do we have a calendar already automated? Is there maybe a shared folder where we put all these things? Because where you are at right now, I know you have that spirit of an entrepreneur, but I think you most likely are transitioning to a level of being 100% leader. You are expected to be the dad and the leader for every single person out there, including your kids. So it can be a stretch whereby the entrepreneur in you wants to drive the results. The leader still wants to be there and slow down for the people who are not moving as fast as you do. So a little bit of leadership, whether it's mentorship or being a part of a mastermind, that might help. Automation is going to be another thing as well, like I mentioned. But I'm also thinking with the metrics that you measure, and this is from my experience with the clients that I work with, you'll find they're only going to be 3 to 5 max metrics that if you measure, they are going to affect pretty much everything else. And a lot of people want to have a hand on every little thing. So if you can identify those and maybe put a few people in charge and you train them and you expect those, you express those expectations, that might be able to help. And like I said, our people, they might send you some suggestions on the comments, but if you want to get further into this, then we can talk about that. But the reason I'm not even worried about you is because you're a driver. That's number one. The only thing I'm worried about you is driving yourself to the tank. I mean, to the empty of the tank, whereby you're just pushing and pushing and pushing. But in terms of being successful, that's not something I'm worried about, because like you said, you have the work ethic, you work hard, you hustle. And I can speak to this because I'm the same way. I grew up in Africa. I was taught you just show up to work and you work without asking questions. You don't complain, you don't whine, you just do it. Right. And I don't want to say that I'm a recovering workaholic, because I'm only regulated because I have a family and have a wife. Otherwise, I would be working all the time. So I feel you, man. I really get it. So we can get deeper into this, maybe off of this, but I'm excited for you.
No, I think that's great. I think just in listening to you talk, one of the other things that came to mind is there's that phrase, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time, right? It's same idea where which I can't imagine eating an elephant. That sounds disgusting. But aside from that, the idea that it not beating ourselves up and only taking the things that we can do today, getting those things done, and then attempting to be content with that. I think that's what I heard when you were saying a lot of that. Maybe you didn't say it, but somehow that's part of the thoughts I was having as you were speaking, was just going, okay, I got this done today, and that is that I did what I could do today, and that's all I can do. So I like
you're right. And the last thing I'll say, and I know you read a lot of books and you already know this, it sounds like a small thing, but being able to look back at the things that you've done today and just being grateful for those things, it makes a big difference. I know for me, it affects the way I feel. Right. Because I used to look at the things that I've not accomplished, so I go to bed dissatisfied. Right. But now when I look at the things that I've done, even at this time today, I feel like I've accomplished a lot, especially the things that I've done for the first time, or something that I've refined. And it doesn't have to do with sales or increasing my revenue, just something that means a lot to me, my personal life and my family life. That really, really makes a difference. So here's the last question for you. What's the best way to get in touch with you? Because I know you are in real estate investment, and you do very well, of course. So if someone really wants to get in touch with you to ask some questions, or maybe just curious about what you do, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Best way would be to go to our website, Bricken, that's BRICKEN, investmentgroup.com, and then go to /join and join our Bricken Investment Group Investor Club. You get notified of all of our opportunities. You get lots of downloads, stuff to read, you can read forever there on our website, on the blog, and everything else. But yeah, just go to brickeninvestmentgroup.com/join, join our Bricken Investor Club, and you'll hear from me at least on a weekly basis. So that's the best way.
Fantastic. And congratulations on your show. Everybody just go to that website and get in touch with Sam Wilson. Thank you so much for your time, and you and I will be in touch.
Thank you, Isaac. Appreciate it.
Okay, bye.
That was Isaac Wamboa, founder of Dynamo Methods. And if what he and his guests talked about sounds like a problem you're having too, stop by dynamomethods.com to find out more. You can book a complimentary 45-minute virtual training for your team. Or you can learn more about group workshops on team leadership, sales, communication, and much more. Don't wait. Let Isaac show you how to step into greatness today.